Environmental sustainability is important, but not doing anything about it now will only affect generations in the far future, not us. I can't really make a difference by implementing daily sustainable practices. It's up to the governments and large corporations to make change. These are statements that I used to believe. Now I know they're not quite true, and I'm going to share with you tonight just a few of many factors that have influenced my personal transition in thinking. So I'm going to start from the end, where I am today. There's a quote from Mahatma Gandhi that goes, "Happiness is when what you think, what you say, and what you do are in harmony." And I can confidently say where I am today is not complete harmony, but I am working towards that goal. I'm working towards supporting only people and companies that I agree entirely with the ethics of their practices. So that includes what I buy. I'm looking towards going completely zero waste. And what media I consume, I get a lot of my information from people who make sure they distinguish the difference between their opinions and the facts. But how did I get here? How did I go from not really caring much about sustainability or understanding the importance of it to living a life where I'm really conscious and somewhat strict in every decision that I make? It's so easy not to care about waste, about using disposable products that are cheap and bad quality. And even though we all consciously know these choices lead to negative consequences, but it's easy to ignore the consequences as they're not immediate. Our brain doesn't associate the actions with the consequences subconsciously because it doesn't happen straight after. So what did influence my personal transition in thinking? There have been many external experiences such as my own online research, things I learnt in classes at school, and I became a Generation Waking Up presenter through the wonderful Sister Margie Abbott, and which I'll talk about a little later. Through these experiences combined, I've learnt so much. But there have been three main things that I got out of all of my experiences that have influenced my thinking and led me to living the life I live today. First is actually focusing and properly learning about the challenges we face environmentally. The Generation Waking Up, or Gen Up, presentation that I learned was split into 3 parts. Number 1, who are we as a generation? 2, what are the challenges? And 3, what is our opportunity? And it was through learning number 2, witnessing a window into the deeply troubled state of our world, and as written in our adapted script, it's important to listen to this information and accept it instead of ignoring it or pretending it's not there. It was this section of the presentation where I began to truly understand how severe our current environmental situation is. And it made me realise that my first statement about environmental sustainability not affecting me was not true, and it changed how I act today. The second is recognising and being conscious of my unexamined assumptions. Again, reading from our adapted Gen Up script, how did we get here? How did things get to be like this? One explanation is that we've been operating on an unexamined set of beliefs or assumptions that we aren't even aware we have. These unconscious beliefs shape how we act in the world, even though we don't consciously think these things are true. Many of us still behave as if they are. It's like wearing glasses that we constantly look through that change the way we see the world, but we don't know we're wearing them. So I realised over time that I had unexamined assumptions that I shared. These unexamined assumptions that I shared at the beginning of this presentation, as well as many others. And these false assumptions were what justified both action and inaction in my life. I was inadvertently living in accordance to lies. So I decided to establish truth. I started living in a way where my conscious and educated thoughts drive my actions. And as I explained in the beginning, I am a work in progress, but at least I'm aware of the discrepancies between my thoughts and actions, and I don't mindlessly defend or attempt to justify the actions that don't align with my ethics, which is a widely accepted and utilised coping mechanism that I used to use and completely understand when people still do. But it's imperative for the future of our world that we recognise that we use it. And like you were saying, I realise that we vote every day. Every time we buy a six-pack of mango yogurt tubs, for example, we are essentially voting for the company to make more packs of yogurt. If enough people vote or buy the packs of mango yogurt, the company will make more packs of mango yogurt. Imagine if there was a political party who promised, if we are voted in, we will ensure that all supermarket products use excess plastic packaging. Would you vote for them? I assume not. However, this is not much different from purchasing a product with excess packaging. So why do we do it? Because it's much easier to make excuses about the latter. I don't have enough time in the morning to use a bigger tub of yogurt and put it in smaller reusable containers. Or, I can't really make a difference by implementing daily sustainable practices. It's up to governments and large corporations to make a change, which I used to believe. By realising that everything I consume I am also voting for has encouraged me to be far more conscious of my choices so that I am voting for things I support ethically. And why have I told you this? Obviously, this is a room full of people who probably already think the same way that I do now. However, I think it's important to be aware of how we got to begin thinking this way. Because if we know that, we can provide resources that help others to have a significant shift in perspective, from one that encourages both inaction in the fight for sustainability and even action participation that contributes to the downfall of the environment, to a perspective which does the opposite. If we begin to understand this transition, we can then use that information to provide resources that help to encourage and allow the shift in thinking in others, which means more help for Earth and its people, and you can't get enough of that. Thank you.
For green, clean, sustainable Geelong, the Sustainable Hour.